So hit it.
Hello and welcome to This is the Play Sports, the podcast. We're here inside This is the Play Sports headquarters. It's incredibly cold outside in gorgeous Davis County, Centerville, Utah. We're here nestled by the fire, staying warm. There are plenty of space heaters around us as well. This guy gets cold really easily, so that's kind of a must.
The old man gets cold.
Yep. But it's good to be back with you for another episode of This is the Play Sports, the podcast. Just a reminder, you can find us on Apple, Spotify. This is going to be in video format. Haven't done this in a little bit, but this will be uploaded to YouTube. Please like, review, comment. Tell us what you think.
The website is kicking up a notch. We're going after this now.
Yeah, we're gonna have some great content for you, so please check it out. But today we got quite a few things. Oh, and I should remind people, we're gonna get back into our contest, and I'll probably do a drawing maybe at the end of this episode. We're definitely gonna try to get back into it next episode. Yes, we do say this a lot, but yes, we are going to do it.
And I'm happy to announce that we have secured a promise from Jim Burton, former sports columnist at the Standard Examiner,
friend of the show,
who wrote a book that he's going to give an autographed version of his book for our first prize.
And our recommendation is that you encapsulate that in lucite or some sort of material that can preserve it through the millennium, because it's going to be worth a lot. But let's hop right into the show. It's good to be with you guys again. Just we're just days after the AFC and NFC championship games. That leads us to our first quarter topic: Super Bowl 57, Eagles Chiefs. A little bit of local interest here, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, on both sides. You got the Philadelphia Eagles. You've got Britton Covey to cheer for. You've got Brian Johnson, who's done a phenomenal job.
They say he's one of the hottest names in coaching right now.
Coaching Jalen Hurts as the quarterback's coach.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was talking to Jim Burton, ironically enough, Austin, and we were talking about if the Dallas Cowboys were to make a move, maybe with offensive coordinator position, that maybe Brian Johnson would be a good hire since he worked with Dak Prescott.
Yeah, he worked at that. That'd be a really good hire, actually. I know they fired Kellen Moore, who signed with the Chargers earlier today, so that availability is there. That makes a lot of sense. Brian Johnson's also a Texas native.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
It seems to make a lot of sense, but we'll see. I mean, he's somebody that helped Dak become as successful as he has.
Yeah,
but obviously
Mississippi State, of course.
He needs somebody to help. And then let's jump over to the Kansas City Chiefs. It all begins with Andy Reid, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yep, BYU guy there.
And
joined by Kyle Whittingham's son on his coaching staff, Alex
he's a quality
Whittingham.
Control coach, and there's a BYU assistant or quality control guy there as well. And
Marcus Kemp, former Layton High School standout, had a nice catch in the AFC Championship game. Typically a practice squad player, but there's a chance he could be activated for the Super Bowl.
He was shifted back to the practice squad this week, but with the injuries they have at wide receiver, there's a pretty good chance that he could be on the active roster for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so that'd be nice. So there's some local interest there, and I think the name that stands out that I think everybody around here is going to be most excited about is Britton Covey. And I mean, I feel like we talk about Britton Covey every week,
right.
But I think it's kind of warranted in a way, because
he's a hard worker,
so great.
And has overcome his small stature to become quite a football player,
and his age to be a rookie at age 26 or 27 is pretty rare feat in the NFL.
When he suffered that serious knee injury, I had the opportunity to go up there. I've said this before, and watch him during his rehab and interview him while he did it, and let us take a photographer with us. That guy worked his tail off, and he deserves everything he gets, and he's just a good football player, plain and simple.
It would be really exciting to see him have like a very electric moment in the Super Bowl. Obviously, being a punt returner, that potential is always there to break one open. You hope he maybe doesn't muff a punt, something of consequence. But
yeah, you can go either way. But
totally.
But I kind of think my eyes are going to be on Brian Johnson, because if Jalen Hurts continues his progression,
he'll
and
get
the way
a big
he's
promotion.
going, Brian Johnson's certainly putting himself in position. maybe he's happy in Philly. He could stay there too, but I would think some other teams would be interested in him, especially if Hurts has another big game.
Yeah, it seems like he's just on kind of an astronomical trajectory right now. And you and I talk about this when we watch football every weekend, is like he's probably just, especially with the kind of this movement in the NFL to hire like a young players coach in the head coaching position, he's probably just a few years away from getting that opportunity if he continues to be successful.
Well, it's something to watch. Now, we got a week or 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. Next week is the Pro Bowl, which is going to be different this year.
Yeah. It's flag football.
What do you think of that?
Who cares? Nobody cared either beforehand. I've been to a Pro Bowl. I went to the Pro Bowl in Orlando. Absolute snooze fest. No, it's not interesting at all. So
this, I don't think it being a flag football. I still think they should play this after the Super Bowl so that you can get the guys that are in the Super Bowl playing. And if you're going to have a true all-star game and nobody cares a week before the Super Bowl, why would they care a week after?
Should we make Super Bowl predictions now? Should we
save
that for a future?
It's up to you. And we can make early ones. We'll call these the early predictions.
Yeah, let's just go with our guts here. I am going to be rooting for the Eagles, but I've got a feeling the Chiefs are kind of a juggernaut. I'm going to go Chiefs 31-24.
The Chiefs came out angry. The Bengals were talking a lot of trash. The mayor of Cincinnati was talking trash. Kelsey went after him after the game. They seem to be very motivated, almost like Cincinnati was motivated at Buffalo. But I'm going to go with the Eagles. And fly, Eagles, fly. I don't really have a horse in the race being a Seahawks guy, but I'm going to go with a 24-17 or 24-21 Eagles. But that's 2 weeks out. We'll see.
We'll see how we feel when more storylines develop. So let's hop into quarter two here. Something that you and I had heard for a while. I think we had been a little bit coy about this on the podcast, but it was made official earlier last week or something. But the big news, kind of not happy news, I guess. The Salt Lake Bees are going to be moving out of Utah's capital city and into Daybreak, a brand new stadium in the South Jordan area in 2025. You and I have both written about this for the website. I predicted this would happen. I predicted it would be upsetting when it became official. Sure enough, it became official, and it was upsetting. As someone who we both spent so much time at the ballpark in our lives, professionally and just for fun as well. Like, what's your reaction? I know it's not great, but let's just hear you vocalize it.
No, I'm very disappointed, and I think it's a shame. I think 13th South been home to baseball for a long time. The view's fantastic. I realize the neighborhood around there has gotten real sketchy, and I blame Salt Lake City for that more than the Bees. It's not like, and maybe the Miller Group could have bought all that property around the stadium and built it up. But,
it's important to note that the stadium is not owned by the Millers. It's owned by Salt Lake City. So that's a big part of it, yeah.
So, do you build around something that you have a lease on, would be what it comes down to. But I think it's very disappointing. And I talked to somebody who is close to the Miller organization who said Larry would not be happy with this move. And you can say what you will. I researched the fact that a lot of the teams in the old PCL or AAA West, as it's called now, play in downtown stadiums. El Paso, places like that have really accepted, just having that part of the downtown lifestyle. And then you got teams like Las Vegas that moved out to the boonies, and they're averaging 6,000 fans in that. But, if the team's out at Daybreak, you don't see them when you're driving I-15 through the valley. Do you even know they exist? And I realize people in Daybreak have money, but are they going to support that team to the tune of something better than having the Salt Lake City market? I just think I think it might be a hot to go to the new stadium for a couple of years, and then I think out of sight, out of mind. And I think the Utah Grizzlies kind of suffer from that a little bit too.
Yeah, I think so.
Being out in West Valley, and so
I imagine the decision makers at the Miller Company imagine a situation where the people who live in Daybreak just get out of their houses in the summer and walk to the ballpark with their families and have a wonderful summer night together. Right. To your point, I think that will happen to some degree. I don't know if that momentum will last.
But what's going to happen to the guy that works in Salt Lake City,
they'll never
drives back to Centerville or to Provo or whatever to pick up his family, and then drive to Daybreak to a baseball game, especially on a school night? No way. You know, I think it's a loser of an idea. I think it's a shame. And as someone who grew up with Dirksfield and
named after you. Some people don't know that. It's actually named after you.
They spelled it wrong, but other than that, it was pretty cool. But I just think it's a loser, and I'm really disappointed. But I have to think this has something to do with negotiations with Salt Lake City and redeveloping that neighborhood, because that neighborhood is scary now. Yeah. It really is, and there's a lot of crime and a lot of homelessness and a lot of situations that need to be dealt with. And maybe mankind needs to be a little more gentle and receptive to those people, and maybe that's more important than where they play baseball. But I don't see people going to Daybreak 10 years from now to a baseball game.
No, I completely agree, and I think as much as like a lot of people are disappointed in the Miller Company for the move, I think that's fair. The Salt Lake Tribune, I don't know if you saw, they did kind of a full page spread that like really eviscerated the Miller Company in the headline. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think, to be fair, I think they're somewhat trying to do the right thing. They're partnering with Salt Lake City to invest $100 million into that area. One thing that I thought was interesting in that press conference that Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall said was this area could be home to the next iteration of the Delta Center or Vivint Arena. They could put the next multi-purpose in basketball arena there. Like that's something that's not impossible. Time will tell, though, I guess.
It's not. And whether that redevelops the neighborhood, I mean, they built a lot of commercial property around the Delta Center and stuff. And so I don't know if that, or whatever they call it now, Vivint Arena.
It's Vivint for a few more months.
But, it's interesting to see if it'll actually what they can figure out will redevelop that area. But let's think about the human beings that are sleeping on the street tonight and stuff, and something needs to be done to help them.
Yeah, that area is rough.
But moving baseball may not be the answer.
Yeah, that area is a little rough right now. It's going to be interesting to see what it looks like in 2025. So we'll see. Hey, let's take a halftime break. My refreshment today is a can of Mountain Dew. I'm trying to drink less of these, but for the sake of the podcast, I'll have one right now.
And since my wife is generously serving as our engineer today, I'm drinking water.
Terrific. What's that? How is that related? Well,
I'm just trying to make you happy.
Yeah, he's doing it under your supervision. So, halftime.
What a halftime. Well, so we jump back to the second half?
That's it. Back to it. All right. So, quarter three. Speaking of Delta Center, Vivint Arena, this month we're talking right here at the end of January. February, of course, is going to be a big month for Salt Lake City. I think I saw over 100,000 people are expected to visit Salt Lake in February with some sort of monetary flow of over 200 million. I'm talking, of course, about All-Star Weekend when this all comes together, February 17th through the 19th. Should be a lot of fun. We already know who the starters are. We'll just go through the Eastern Conference right now, pending how his injury recovery goes. Kevin Durant leads that group. He's also joined by Kyrie Irving, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, and Donovan Mitchell. You've probably heard his name. Western Conference starters include Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Zion Williamson. I think just looking at the starters, I mean, some people thought Lauri Markkanen might have been deserving of a nod in the starting lineup. Do you see anything you disagree with there in the starting lineup?
Not especially. I mean, I think the Zion Williamson thing, I know the Pelicans have played well with him, but he's been so injury prone. Makes you wonder if he deserves a spot, but as a starter. But, I think what people forget about the All-Star game is they're not catering to Salt Lake City.
No,
they're catering to the NBA. And, I think marketing's going to be a borderline decision, believe it or not, considering the year he's having. He deserves to be on, but I don't think they're going to make special consideration to put a Jazz guy on there just for the sake of putting a Jazz guy on there. But hopefully he'll make it, and he deserves it.
Yeah, I'm going to slightly disagree with you there. I think just from what I've been reading, I would be really shocked if the NBA coaches who pick the reserves, they're going to make that announcement on February 2nd. Don't give Lauri Markkanen the nod. He's having an unbelievable year. He's averaging 24.9 points per game, 8.6 rebounds a game, and he's shooting 43.2% from three for about 3 made triples a game.
Right.
You could make an argument if it weren't for guys like Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, maybe Giannis, that Lauri Markkanen might be one of the best 7-footers in the game right now.
Yeah, and Sabonis is doing a great job in Sacramento, and that I think one thing that's interesting on this, an omission, is Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. 33 points, 10 rebounds a game, and he's not voted an all-star, and he's a starter, and he's playing in a big market like Philadelphia.
Yeah, that is interesting. I imagine, and we were just talking about this before we started, if Durant isn't able to go in time, I think it's safe to assume that Embiid will take his spot as a starter. I'm going to make a prediction right now, just looking at the starting lineup. I'm going to put, just going on the record right here, All-Star Game MVP will be Donovan Mitchell.
Wouldn't be surprising. I mean,
I think there's a narrative there, yeah.
71 points in the game earlier this year, and you can talk about Markkanen coming in the trade and all that. I mean, the Jazz gave up a very good player, obviously.
Yeah, they did, but I think we've seen the way Mitchell's spoken in the media, the way his attitude has shifted in Cleveland. I think he's happier outside of Utah, and I think that might be a hard pill to swallow.
Right.
I'm not sure the Jazz would have gotten this level of play from Donovan Mitchell. I think he's. I
can't see him scoring 71 points for the Jazz.
Yeah, I think he's happy to be in the post Quinn Snyder era. I think he's happier to be in the post. To be out of Utah a little bit.
Well, speaking of happy, it was nice to see Adrian Dantley return to the Jazz and get honored and welcome back to the arena the other night. And, he kind of had a stormy relationship at the end. But when I was back in the day when I was a kid, he was a heck of a player.
And we've seen that before with other Jazz guys like Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer to a little degree, where, maybe their tenure with the Jazz ends poorly, but they come back and they understand that they were loved and appreciated. And I think that'll be Donovan Mitchell's legacy here. We should mention. I'm sure if you follow the show, you also are aware. The Raw. It's going to be an interesting selection process. So there's 2 captains. There's Team LeBron, Team Giannis, and they'll be making selections literally minutes before they tip off. It's going to be like a pickup style. They're going to hand out the jerseys right there on the floor, supposedly. Oh,
I didn't know that.
That'll be kind of cool. Yeah, it's supposed to be like pickup style. Like, hey, you. I'm sure whoever gets picked last will get laughed at. Maybe. Luckily, Rudy Gobert isn't going to be in the All-Star game this year. Otherwise, it would probably be him, and that would probably be embarrassing. But it should be fun. And real quick, before we move on to the fourth quarter, we should add, a lot of great activities, events going on All-Star Weekend. Everybody loves NBA All-Star Saturday. Mike Conley is expected to participate in the Skills Challenge. And Malik Beasley, who right now is leading the Jazz in three-point percentage, is projected to be in the three-point challenge. Interestingly, though, I don't know if they'll be wearing Jazz uniforms because both those guys have been tied to trade talks, and the trade deadline is February 9th.
Well, it'll be interesting. And a lot of these activities, like just to jump back to that, are at the Huntsman Center, too. So there should be plenty of opportunities for local fans to go and be part of All-Star Weekend. And I think get your wallet out.
Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal is DJing a party downtown, I think on like Friday or Saturday, and I might buy a ticket to go. That sounds kind of fun. So
there you go.
Yeah. All right, so let's stay right here in the theme of hoops here. We're going to talk So we're going to spend a good deal of time on this in quarter 4. I think it's worthy of our time. I don't know if everybody's aware of this. I think they should be. I imagine if you follow this show, you're a big fan of sports in the state. Utah women's basketball is very good.
Yeah, Lynn Roberts has done a heck of a job. They're 18-2, ranked 7th in the nation. They happen to be in the same conference as number 2 Stanford, so right. It kind of maybe prevents them from dominating the conference. But boy, she's done a heck of a job, and it's going to be a fun team. And you said there's some projections now that they may be able to host a couple games in the Huntsman Center.
Yeah, that's right. I think the latest ESPN bracketology has the Utes as a 1 or 2 seed, which would put them playing their first and second round games at the Huntsman Center, which is huge. So they can go into, the Sweet 16 having rested, in their beds, using their own facilities.
NCAA tournament returns to the Huntsman Center.
Yeah, so which is always fun, right?
It's been a while.
It's a lot of fun. But then you get into the Sweet 16. We're obviously talking, way in advance here, but anything can happen at that point, and it could be a lot of fun to see how the Utes do. They had a great game yesterday, Sunday, the 29th. Our good friend Tyson Ewing was on the call. Alyssa Peely, I hope I'm saying that right, had 23 points and a buzzer beater to beat UCLA, and this was the first top 10 matchup in program history.
Yeah, they're doing well, and it kind of reminds me back as at the Deseret News in 2006 when Utah made it to the Elite Eight. That team with Kim Smith and Shona Thorburn,
Morgan Warburton was on that team.
They put some good things together under Elaine Elliott, and they lost in overtime.
I think they were a made free throw away from going to the Final Four,
yes,
something like that.
They lost in overtime to Maryland, who went on to win the national championship. Yep. So they almost had them beat, and the only bad thing about that was I got stuck in Albuquerque for a couple extra days. But hey, as long as the ribs were hot, I was okay.
Albuquerque, I spent a month there one night. Am I right?
Got that right.
Yeah, so kudos to the Lady Utes. I don't know if they like to be called that, but yeah,
they don't. But
my bad. The Utah women's basketball team. So it's been cool. Lynn Roberts has been there for 8 years now, and every year they've steadily improved. It's exciting to see it all come together.
And she's a cool lady. She's
very nice. Yep, she's very cool. And our friend Tyson Ewing is having a good time being the voice of the women's basketball team there. So wish him well. I know he's having a heck of a time. So, yeah, that's good stuff. That concludes our 4 quarters. Again, thanks to everybody who's tuned in with us this far. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. This is the portion, though, where we do our parting shots. What's your parting shot?
I have 2 this week. One was I want to give a shout-out to Kyle Kuzma. There was a nice feature on Good Morning America that I was watching, and he donated $1 million to the rec center that he grew up in. And his mother was there in Flint to present the large check to the people there. And, when Kyle played for the Utes, he told me when he got to the NBA he was going to do something to take care of the people back in his hometown of Flint who've been troubled by water problems and crime and all that and unemployment. And,
it's one of the probably hardest to live cities in the country, I would imagine, right now.
And that was shot in the arm to get $1 million for that rec center. So, he's giving back, and that was heartwarming. And then I wanted to give a shout out. I leaked it out early to Steve Brown. Steve Brown, a longtime sports broadcaster in the air. He's kind of mentoring me. He calls me once in a while as I get ready to gear up for a kidney transplant. Steve went through one, and he's on the other side of it now and feeling good and doing well. And I just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to Steve for reaching out to me and helping me through this unique process, because I don't think I've never known anyone other than Steve to have a kidney transplant. And so it's a little scary and all that, but and obviously got to thank my wife and you and Sammy and everybody that's helped me. This has been a journey, but I wanted to just thank Steve publicly for reaching out to me.
Yeah, I'll echo that too. Yeah, big thanks to Steve. He's a good guy. Yeah, longtime sportscaster here, so has a great legacy here.
And
he's a good friend.
He's doing some Big Sky games. We were staying with Joe Cravens, and
nice.
so if you get a chance, if you have ESPN Plus, you can see Steve in action. But he's just been wonderful to me. So
yeah, that's great. Well, my parting shot is a little less tender. I went skiing for the first time a couple weekends ago, which is maybe surprising for someone who's lived almost their whole life in Utah. I went skiing for the first time as a 30-year-old up at Snowbird, and I really liked it. So I think I have to give a shout out to our skiing community here. Obviously, Olympic sports are huge here. A lot of people ski recreationally around here. I get it now. I didn't get it for a while, but now I get it. Skiing is a lot of fun. If I can just do a plug for Ski Utah, we have 15 fabulous world-class resorts here. It's easier than I thought to get started. My teacher was really cool, really nice. I could talk about this for a while. I had a really good time. There's something else I wanted to add about that.
Well, poor Austin, he grew up in a family that does not ski.
Yeah.
His mother and I are not skiers, and we frankly like the snow when it's up in the mountains and wish it would just stay in the mountains. But, it's been fun to see you jump into that. Hope it's more successful than your snowboarding career.
Yeah, as a teenager, I went snowboarding once, and I didn't make it down the first run before I fell on my head and got a concussion.
And I followed the ambulance from
the canyons to Primary Children's Hospital.
Primary Children's Hospital. The scary thing of that was the ambulance drivers told me, if we kick on our lights, then we got an emergency situation, just follow the ambulance. And I'm like, so I'm driving down that canyon waiting for those lights to come on, and luckily they never came on. So
yeah, I don't really have a memory of this, so I think it worked out. So I think we're good. I remember what I was going to say. Here's an interesting fact: we're having an exceptionally good winter with all the snow. It's the best winter for snow in the last 40 years.
And cold.
Yeah, it is cold, so hence the fire. So anyway, yeah, thanks for tuning into the show. Appreciate those of you who do tune in. Please share it with a friend, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Please enter our raffle. I might edit in a little entry here, or we'll get to it next week. But the form should be on our website. thisistheplaysports.com. Should pop up right when you go to that website. So just enter in your information. We just need your email. We're asking for your address as well, just so we can send the prize directly to you. That way we don't have to mess around with contacting you back and forth and all that. We'll just send it right out to you. So please do so. And
I want to give one last shout out.
Oh, let's hear it.
Because talking about the snow and all that, I want to thank my neighbors for helping clear our walks and driveway and that as I, get my health back and strength. So another shout out, but it was snow related.
Yeah.
But I'm proud to see you out there skiing, and I always wondered what they did up in the mountains in the winter.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. But thanks to those of us who are helping, those of you who are helping us out. Even a little gesture like that really means a lot. So we appreciate you guys. And let's hit it. We'll get back to it soon.
See you next time.